Powerful executives scrambled in panic as every screen on Billionaire, Maxwell Stone's super yacht displayed, transmitting live, 20 million viewers, exposing senators negotiating for trafficked women, CEOs trading contracts for sexual favors, and blackmail evidence that had kept them all protected for years. Behind this devastating hack was Master Conman Ethan Cole, systematically dismantling the digital fortress of the man whose crimes had destroyed his family, broadcasting every second of depravity to a world hungry for justice. Will Ethan's perfect revenge falter when he recognizes one of the victims as someone tied to his own past, forcing an impossible choice between complete exposure and protecting her identity? Subscribe now for stories that unmask the crimes of the elite. Comment below if you believe the wealthy should face the same consequences as everyone else, or if some Redditors deserve whatever justice they get. The harsh glow of 6 monitors painted Ethan Cole's face in a cold blue light. His reflection, ghost-like in the darkened hotel room outside Zurich's expensive skyline, glittered with wealth and security, oblivious to the digital predator in their midst. 32 years old, with hollow eyes that had seen too much, Ethan's fingers moved across 3 keyboards with practiced precision. Access granted, he whispered, a rare smile crossing his face as the last firewall protecting Maxwell Stone's private network collapsed. On screen 6, live security feeds from Stone's $400 million super yacht Imperium flickered to life. The vessel floated in Monaco's harbor, a gleaming monument to excess. Ethan zoomed in on Stone himself, 53, silver-haired, immaculately dressed, laughing with 2 senators and a Saudi prince on the upper deck. "Enjoy your last night of freedom," Ethan murmured, the words catching in his throat. His gaze drifted to the framed photo beside his laptop, the only personal item in the room. His father, mother, and teenage sister smiled back from a time before Stone's financial crimes had shattered their lives. Before his father had tied a noose. Before his mother had withered away in grief. Before his sister had disappeared into addiction. Ethan's phone vibrated with a message from his only ally, confirmed. Stone's special guests arriving at 10 p.m. Security doubled. He checked his watch. 6 hours until the broadcast. 6 hours to complete his infiltration of every camera, microphone, and system on the yacht. 6 hours until the culmination of 3 years of planning. On screen 2, an alert flashed. Stone's security team had detected an anomaly in their system. Amateur work. Ethan had left that breadcrumb deliberately, directing their attention to a minor intrusion while he siphoned data through another channel. He opened the file containing Stone's private communications and filtered for specific keywords. Thousands of results appeared. Girls, young, special requests, payments, discretion. Ethan's stomach churned as he opened video files showing previous parties, the faces of powerful men engaged in acts that would destroy careers, marriages, and reputations. More importantly, evidence of crimes, trafficking, blackmail, bribery, all meticulously recorded by Stone himself as insurance. "Perfect," Ethan whispered, copying everything to his secure server. A notification appeared. Facial recognition had completed its scan of the yacht's current guests. Names scrolled by senators, tech CEOs, foreign dignitaries all gathered for what they believed was a private evening of debauchery and deal-making. None of them knew they were about to become the most watched individuals on the planet. Ethan cracked his knuckles and began the final phase. Tonight, the digital ghost would become visible to the world. Maxwell Stone raised his crystal flute of Krug champagne, the dying Mediterranean sun catching the liquid gold within. Around him, the deck of the Imperium teemed with the powerful and privileged men whose combined wealth could end world hunger twice over. "Gentlemen," Stone announced, his British accent refined by decades among the elite, to another profitable quarter. Glasses clinked as murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering. Senator William Hargrove, his jowls reddened by sun and alcohol, clapped Stone on the shoulder. "Maxwell, you've outdone yourself. This is what, your 3rd yacht?" "4th," Stone corrected with practiced humility. "But who's counting?" Laughter erupted, the kind shared by men who'd never heard the word no. Below deck, an army of staff prepared for the evening ahead. White uniformed servers arranged caviar displays while bartenders stocked rare spirits. In the galley, chef barked orders as his team assembled dishes costing more than their monthly salaries. Stone excused himself and descended to his private suite, where his head of security, Dmitry Volkov, waited. A former Russian intelligence operative with a face like carved granite, Volkov stood ramrod straight beside a wall of surveillance monitors. "All clear, sir," Volkov reported. "The special entertainment arrives in 3 hours." We've swept 4 devices, and all communications are running through our encrypted servers. Stone nodded. And our guests' phones? Signal jammers, active. They can only communicate through our internal system. Perfect. Stone opened his wall safe and removed a small black notebook. Some of our guests have special requests. Ensure they're matched appropriately. Volkov's expression remained impassive as he accepted the notebook. The new merchandise, separate them. The ones I've marked are for my personal guests only. Stone straightened his Brioni tie and Dimitri. The usual precautions with the recordings. Of course, sir. Same offshore server, triple encrypted. Smiled. Insurance is the most valuable commodity in our business, wouldn't you agree? Back on deck, the atmosphere had shifted subtly as the sun disappeared. Jackets came off, drinks flowed faster, and conversations turned to matters not meant for public consumption. Tech billionaire Eric Jong huddled with Saudi Prince Khalid, their voices low. The Senate committee votes next Tuesday, Jong murmured. Hargrove says he can deliver 3 more votes, but it'll cost us. Prince Khalid scoffed. How much this time? 10 million. Offshore Foundation for Environmental Research. Americans and their pretense of righteousness. The prince laughed. At least in my country, we're honest about our bribes. Nearby, pharmaceutical CEO Richard Mercer cornered Senator Hargrove. The FDA commissioner is still hesitating on our approval, Mercer complained. Those side effect reports are greatly exaggerated. Hargrove swirled his scotch. Judith owes me several favors. I'll speak with her tomorrow. Much appreciated, Bill. Your usual consultation fee will be deposited. Stone watched these exchanges with satisfaction. This was his true business. The technology empire that had made him billions, but the influence brokering that made him powerful. Every corrupt deal made in his presence, every compromising moment captured by his hidden cameras, added to his collection of leverage. As night fell, the yacht's exterior illuminated in a soft blue glow. Stone addressed his guests again. Gentlemen, the night is young. In 1 hour we'll welcome additional guests who I'm sure will make your evening memorable. Until then, please enjoy the casino room we've prepared below. The men moved downstairs, where professional dealers waited at tables laden with chips representing millions in cryptocurrency and traceable, undeclared. Stone stayed behind momentarily, gazing at Monaco's shoreline twinkling with lights. His phone buzzed with an alert from Volkov. Minor security anomaly detected. Investigating, likely nothing. Stone frowned slightly, then dismissed the concern. His system was impenetrable, designed by the world's top security experts. No one could touch him. No one would dare. He was wrong. 7 years earlier, Ethan Cole had believed in the system. Fresh-faced at 25, he'd been a rising star at CyberShield, one of Silicon Valley's premier security firms. His father, James Cole, ran a modest but successful investment management company in Portland. His mother taught piano. His sister, Lily, was starting college. The American dream, intact and thriving. Until Maxwell Stone's company, Helix Technologies, acquired their family's pension fund management firm. Ethan's hotel room faded as the memories washed over him. He could still see his father's face when the call came. Stone's company had stripped their business for assets, fired all employees, and devalued the pension fund by 80% through a series of shell company transfers. Nearly 10,000 retirees lost their life savings overnight. His father had filed lawsuits, contacted regulators, reached out to politicians. Stone's legal team buried them in paperwork. Witnesses disappeared or changed testimonies. Evidence vanished from government offices. One night, James Cole drove to Stone's San Francisco office with a gun. Security stopped him before he reached the elevator. The attempted assault charge destroyed any credibility he had left. 3 weeks later, Ethan found his father hanging in their garage. The image still burned in his mind, the overturned chair, the blue face, the final note. I failed them all. Ethan blinked back to the present, his hands trembling over the keyboard. He forced himself to breathe, to focus on the screens before him. On screen 4, he watched Stone laughing with his guests as if he'd never destroyed thousands of lives. As if Ethan's mother hadn't withered away in grief within a year of her husband's suicide. As if his sister hadn't turned to drugs to numb the pain, eventually disappearing into the streets of Seattle. After the funerals, Ethan had tried working within the system to. He gathered evidence, contacted journalists, filed complaints with the SEC. Each attempt hit the same wall of money and influence that had defeated his father. The breaking point came when a sympathetic SEC investigator was found dead from an accidental overdose the day before Ethan's evidence was to be reviewed. That night, Ethan Cole died to at least the law-abiding version of him. He liquidated his remaining assets, erased his digital footprint, and disappeared. For a year he learned from hackers, con artists, and former intelligence operatives who operated in the shadows. He created new identities, mastered social engineering, and honed his already formidable coding skills. When he re-emerged, it was as a ghost in the machine, systematically targeting the lower rungs of Stone's empire. A corrupted file here, a leaked document there, small enough to seem like bad luck, consistent enough to cause damage. He'd worked his way through Stone's partners and subsidiaries, gathering intelligence and siphoning funds to finance his operation. Each target provided more access, more evidence, of the corruption endemic to Stone's business. What he discovered sickened him. Beyond financial crimes lay human trafficking, blackmail operations, and political manipulation on a global scale. Stone didn't just destroy lives through business, he treated people as commodities across all aspects of his empire. 2 years into his mission, Ethan found mentions of the yacht parties in encrypted communications. He recognized names of politicians he'd once respected, business leaders held up as visionaries, all of them complicit, all of them compromised by their association with Stone. That's when his plan evolved from mere exposure to complete destruction. Ethan, the voice in his earpiece, pulled him back to the present. Sophia, his only ally, former MI6 operative who'd been burned by her own government after investigating one of Stone's British political connections. "I'm here," he answered, rubbing his eyes. "You went quiet for 5 minutes. The broadcast timeline is on schedule," he finished. Just ... remembering. Her voice softened. "Your father wouldn't want you to lose yourself in this." "My father believed in justice until it broke him." Ethan's voice hardened. "I believe in consequences." On his screens, Stone's yacht continued its preparations for the evening's depravity. In 3 hours, the broadcasting system would activate. Every screen on the yacht would display the message. Every camera would stream to servers around the world, designed to replicate faster than they could be taken down. The world would see. The evidence would be undeniable. Justice had failed the Cole family. Vengeance WOULDN single quotes T9 settled over Monaco's harbor like a velvet cloak. The Imperium gleamed against the darkness, its decks now illuminated by tasteful lighting that highlighted the yacht's extravagant design while ensuring selective privacy. Ethan watched through the security cameras as a series of blacked-out launches approached the yacht's rear boarding platform. The first carried 5 women, all young, all beautiful, all looking slightly disoriented. Stone's security team greeted them, confiscating phones and performing discreet body scans for recording devices. "Bastards," Ethan muttered, zooming in on their faces. Most appeared Eastern European, their expressions a disturbing mix of nervousness and practiced seduction. The second launch delivered more women, these appearing to be from Southeast Asia. The third carried a mix of nationalities. Ethan their faces against his human trafficking database. Several matches appeared immediately. Women reported missing from Ukraine, Thailand, and Brazil. In his ear, Sophia's voice was tight. "Are you recording all of this?" "Every frame," Ethan confirmed. "Facial recognition is already identifying the victims." On the yacht's main deck, Stone personally welcomed his male guests back from the casino room. They'd changed into evening wear, custom tuxedos and smoking jackets, an obscene parody of sophistication given what was to come. "Gentlemen," Stone announced, "our additional guests have arrived. They've been briefed on our expectations of discretion." His smile turned predatory. "And as always, my staff has ensured they understand the consequences of indiscretion." The implication hung heavy in the air. These women weren't just paid escorts, they were controlled through threats, drug dependency, or blackmail. Senator Hargrove licked his lips. "The special arrangements we discussed, all taken care of, William," Stone assured him. "Dimitri will show you to the Blue Suite when you're ready." Ethan made a note to prioritize the Blue Suite cameras in his broadcast queue. On the lower deck, the women were being separated into groups. Some were escorted to private cabins, others to the main salon where drinks and drugs awaited. Ethan noticed a separate group, younger, more visibly frightened, being led to a restricted area of the yacht. He switched to those cameras and felt his blood freeze. The room had been set up for auction-style seating. 3 young women, none looking older than 20, stood in the center, guarded by Stone's security personnel. "Sophia," he said, his voice dangerous, "are you seeing this?" "Yes," she replied, her professional detachment cracking. "Do we have enough to move up the timeline?" Ethan checked his broadcast preparations. Almost 20 more minutes to ensure they can't shut it down, he paused. But I'm copying this specific footage to a separate server. If anything happens to the main broadcast, this still gets sent to Interpol. Back on the main deck, Stone was personally pouring drinks for a group that included Chinese tech billionaire Zhang, Saudi Prince Khalid, and 2 U.S. senators. The conversation had turned to business, specifically a pending defense contract worth billions. My committee votes next week, one senator said, accepting a glass of 30-year-old scotch. The Pentagon's recommendation carries weight. But ultimately, Stone finished for him, it's about relationships. And I value our relationship greatly, Senator Collins. As do I, Prince Khalid interjected. Perhaps we can discuss how the kingdom might express its appreciation for American military support. The men laughed, the sound sending chills down Ethan's spine. Billions in taxpayer money being decided over drinks by compromised officials. He activated the yacht's internal microphones, ensuring every damning conversation was being captured with crystal clarity. As the evening progressed, the scene devolved. In the main salon, several executives were openly sampling white powder from a silver tray. Women circulated among the guests, some now topless, others being led away to private cabins. In the restricted room, the auction appeared to be starting. Dmitry Volkov stepped forward. Gentlemen, we have 3 exclusive offerings tonight. Bidding starts at €50,000. As always, Mr. Stone takes a commission, and discretion is paramount. Ethan felt physically ill. He'd known Stone was involved in trafficking, but seeing it happen live was different. These weren't just crimes of financial greed, this was human slavery conducted by the world's elite. His finger hovered over the broadcast button. The system needed 7 more minutes to bypass the final security protocols on screen. The first young woman was pushed forward, tears streaming down her face. I can't wait, Ethan said, overriding the countdown. Sophia, be ready. What about the failsafes? We'll have to risk it. He initiated the sequence. In 30 seconds, every screen on the Imperium would come to life. Every corrupt deal, every act of depravity would be streamed to an audience of millions as the counter hit 0. Ethan whispered, "This is for you, Dad." Transmitting live, 3,456,889 viewers and counting. The message flashed across every screen on the Imperium televisions, tablets, phones, even the digital displays on kitchen appliances. In the main salon, the words appeared on the massive, wall-mounted screen that had been showing abstract art moments before. For 3 heartbeats, silence reigned. Then pandemonium erupted. Senator Collins dropped his scotch. What the hell is this? Stone's face drained of color as he realized what was happening. Dmitry, he bellowed into his communication device. Shut down all systems now. In the hotel room, Ethan watched the chaos unfold across his monitors, a cold smile on his face. He'd spent months creating backdoors and redundancies in Stone's system. Their attempts to regain control were useless. Sir, we can't, came voice over the yacht's intercom. Someone's locked us out of the main server. They're broadcasting everything, every camera, every microphone. On the auction room's screens, the viewer count climbed past 5 million. Half-dressed executives scrambled for their clothes. Others frantically called their lawyers, unaware that Ethan had redirected their calls to a recording that simply stated, "Your number has been logged as participating in illegal activities aboard the yacht Imperium. Evidence has been forwarded to law enforcement." Stone alone maintained his composure. "Everyone remain calm," he ordered, though his voice carried an edge of panic. "My team will handle this. It's merely a hack, not an actual broadcast." He was lying, and Ethan made sure everyone knew it. With a keystroke, he changed the message on the screens. "This is not a bluff. Live feeds are being recorded by media outlets worldwide. Current viewer count 7,842,956. In the restricted room, the auction participants scattered, leaving the 3 young women huddled together. Confused by the sudden turn of events, Ethan focused his attention there, zooming in with the cameras, and that's when he saw her, the 3rd young woman, partially hidden behind the others, with a distinctive birthmark visible on her shoulder. His breath caught. "No, it can't be." He enhanced the image, his hands shaking. "Sophia," he said urgently, the 3rd woman in the auction room, run facial recognition. Seconds ticked by as the software compared the woman's features against its database. "Match found," Sophia reported, her voice faltering. "Ethan, It's single quotes as Mia Chen. The name hit him like a physical blow. Mia Chen, sister of his former colleague, David Chen, who had helped Ethan gather evidence against Stone years ago. David had disappeared 6 months into their investigation. 2 weeks later, his sister Mia had vanished while traveling in Europe. Ethan had promised to find her. Then his own life had collapsed, and he'd failed her too. She's alive, he whispered, staring at the screen. All this time, ... On the yacht, Stone was in his private office, frantically working with his security team to contain the breach. I don't care how you do it, he was shouting. Cut the power if you have to. Destroy the servers. Ethan smiled grimly. Not going to work, Maxwell. With another command, he disabled the yacht's ability to cut power to the server room. Then he focused on Mia again. She appeared drugged, her movements sluggish, her eyes unfocused. Sophia, what's your ETA to Monaco? 3 hours, minimum, she replied. Ethan, this changes things. If they realize she's been identified, I know, he cut her off. I need to isolate her footage from the broadcast. It was the first flaw in his perfect plan. He'd intended to expose everything. Damn, the consequences, but Mia's presence changed the calculation. Broadcasting her in this state would subject her to global humiliation, even as it saved her from captivity. More urgently, once Stone realized the hacker had a personal connection to one of the victims, he might use her as leverage. Ethan's fingers flew across the keyboard, creating a selective filter for the broadcast. The auction room would still appear, the trafficking evidence would still be transmitted, but Mia's face would be obscured. As he worked, he watched Stone gather his most trusted security personnel in his office. Find out who's doing this, Stone ordered. Check every passenger manifest, every hotel registry in Monaco. Someone nearby is controlling this. Volkov stepped closer to Stone. Sir, should we implement Protocol Zero? Stone hesitated, then nodded. Prepare the launchers. If we can't stop the broadcast, we need to eliminate loose ends. Ethan's blood ran cold. Protocol Zero. He'd found references to it in Stone's encrypted files, but never confirmed its meaning. Now it was clear if exposure was inevitable, they would eliminate witnesses, including the women. Including Mia. Sophia, he said urgently. They're going to kill the women. We need to alert authorities now. On it, she replied. But Monaco police are notoriously in Stone's pocket. Ethan made an instant decision. The original plan had been a choreographed exposure over hours, gradually revealing more damning evidence, to ensure it couldn't be dismissed. Now he needed to dump everything at one source, the financial records, blackmail files, trafficking evidence before Stone could implement Protocol Zero, but doing so might give their tech team a chance to counter his intrusion sooner. It was no longer about perfect revenge. It was about saving lives, saving Mia. Accelerating to Phase 3, he told Sophia, initiating the full data dump, and notify our contact in Interpol. Priority alert. On his screen he watched Stone's men moving toward the restricted room where Mia was held. The race to save her had begun. The viewer count hit 20 million as Ethan activated his contingency protocol. Across the Imperium, screens split into multiple feeds, each showing different evidence of Stone's crimes. Main deck, financial records revealing billions in laundered money. Casino room, footage of senators accepting bribes. Upper deck, blackmail, videos Stone had used to control politicians. Master suite, offshore account numbers and transactions. In his private office, Stone watched his empire crumbling in real. His phone rang continuously. Lawyers, business partners, politicians, all desperate to distance themselves. Get those women off the yacht, Stone commanded Volkov. Use the emergency submersible if necessary. Volkov nodded grimly. And the guests? On their own. Ethan intercepted the communication and pivoted to the restricted room cameras. 2 armed security personnel were already escorting the women toward the lower deck. Mia stumbled between them, barely conscious. Sophia, they're moving. Mia to the submersible dock. Tracking, she confirmed. I've alerted our Monaco contact. He's approaching by water, ETA for minutes. Ethan accessed the yacht's PA system. Maxwell Stone, his digitally altered voice, boomed throughout the vessel. This is a message for you alone. I know about Mia Chen. Release her unharmed, or I release your terminal protocol files. On screen, Stone froze, his face contorting with rage and fear. The terminal protocols were his most closely guarded secret. Instructions for the complete destruction of evidence and elimination of witnesses if his operation was ever compromised. How could they know about her? Stone hissed to Volkov. Find out who this hacker is. Ethan sent Stone a private message. I have everything. Maxwell, David Chen's murder, the blackmail operation. Your meetings with the Russian FSB release Mia to the red speedboat approaching your starboard side in 3 minutes, or it all drops at once. Stone's face went ashen as he read the message. David Chen had been investigating Stone's connection to human trafficking when he'd accidentally drowned. Only those directly involved knew the truth. Sir Volkov prompted, your orders. Stone's mind raced, calculating angles. Change of plans. Bring the Chen woman to my private dock. She's our only leverage. Ethan watched the security team redirect, dragging Mia toward Stone's personal escape craft. He needed to slow them down. With a few keystrokes, he triggered the yacht's fire suppression system in that corridor. Alarms blared as foam sprayed from ceiling nozzles, creating chaos. The security team lost their footing, giving Mia a moment to struggle. Despite her drugged state, some survival instinct kicked in. She broke free, stumbling down a side passage. Run, Mia, Ethan whispered, using the yacht's cameras to track her progress. He remotely sealed doors behind her, creating a path toward the starboard deck where Sophia's contact waited. Stone's men pursued, but the yacht had become a maze, working against them. On the main deck, guests fled to their private launches, abandoning Stone as the broadcast reached 30 million viewers. Financial markets were already reacting as traders worldwide witnessed evidence of massive fraud. Stone himself headed toward his escape vessel, barking orders to find Mia. She's the only one who can connect us to Chun's death. Ethan split his focus, guiding Mia through the yacht while continuing to release damning evidence to the world. With each passing minute, Stone's options narrowed. The countdown to complete exposure had begun. Mia stumbled down the corridor, her drug-addled mind struggling to process what was happening. Alarms wailed around her as she braced herself against the wall, fighting waves of dizziness. Through the yacht's of speakers, Ethan spoke directly to her. Mia, my name is Ethan Cole. I was your brother's friend. Follow the green lights to safety. He remotely activated the emergency path lighting, creating a trail for her to follow. On his screens, he watched Stone's security closing in from multiple directions. Sophia, I need options, Ethan said urgently. Working on it, she replied. Your broadcast just hit major networks. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera are all running it live. That was the plan, reach critical mass where no amount of influence could suppress the story. But right now, all that mattered was MIA. He checked the monitors. Stone had reached his private speedboat, but was waiting presumably for Mia. 2 security teams converged on her position from opposite ends of the corridor. With no other choice, Ethan activated the yacht sprinkler system throughout all decks. Confusion erupted as water rained down on priceless art and electronics. He followed with a controlled electrical surge that plunged sections of the yacht into darkness. In the chaos, Stone made a decision. Forget the girl. He barked into his communication device. Initiate Protocol 0 and meet me at Extraction Point B. Protocol 0. Full destruction. Ethan's heart raced as he intercepted the command. Within minutes, explosives planted throughout the yacht would activate, destroying evidence and witnesses alike. Stone's final insurance policy. Mia, you need to move faster, Ethan urged through the speakers. The boat is going to blow. On screen, he watched her eyes sharpen with fear. Adrenaline temporarily clearing the fog of whatever drugs they'd given her. She moved with more purpose, following his guidance toward the starboard deck. Meanwhile, Ethan frantically worked to access the yacht's self-destruct protocol. The system was isolated, designed to function even if main power failed. He had minutes. At most. Sophia, alert your contact. Explosives on board. All remaining passengers need immediate evacuation. As Mia neared the exit to the starboard deck, Volkov appeared, blocking her path. The Russian's cold eyes locked onto her as he raised his weapon. End of the line, he said. Ethan had no direct way to stop him. In desperation, he triggered the yacht's emergency decompression system in that section. The sudden pressure change caused the reinforced windows to flex inward with a deep boom. Volkov instinctively turned toward the sound that it gave Mia her opening. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it with all her strength. It connected with Volkov's head, sending him crashing to the floor. Go. Ethan urged through the speakers. Mia staggered onto the deck where a spotlight from a small speedboat illuminated the yacht's side. A man waved urgently from the boat. Jump, he called. Now, Mia hesitated at the railing, looking down at the dark water 6 meters below. Trust me, Mia, Ethan said. Your brother would want you to live. She closed her eyes and leapt just as the first explosion rocked the yacht's lower deck. Fireballs erupted from the Imperium's lower decks as Stone's Protocol Zero activated. The blasts were carefully engineered, powerful enough to destroy evidence, but controlled to give key personnel time to escape. On Ethan's screens, panicked guests and staff dove into the Mediterranean as secondary explosions rippled through the vessel. The broadcast hit 60 million viewers worldwide. Ethan split his attention between tracking Mia and ensuring the data dump continued. Despite the yacht's imminent destruction, his specially designed transmission system was now self-sustaining, pulling from secure servers around the globe. Even if the yacht sank, the evidence would continue streaming. Mia is secure, Sophia reported. Our contact has her heading to the safe house now. Relief flooded through him. Her condition, alive, disoriented, probably given ketamine or something similar. Medics standing by. One objective accomplished. Now for Stone himself. The Billionaire speedboat streaked away from the burning yacht, its powerful engines carrying him toward a waiting helicopter on a private peninsula 2 kilometers away. Stone's face was visible on the boat's own security camera feature. The arrogant billionaire never imagined could be compromised. Ethan broadcast that feed to the architect of tonight's crimes, fleeing the scene. His digitized voice narrated to millions. He accessed financial networks, triggering the protocol he'd prepared months earlier. Around the world, Stone's accounts began freezing as compliance officers received evidence of money laundering and criminal enterprise. Emergency trading halts hit Stone's companies as market algorithms detected the unprecedented scandal. An estimated $12 billion in value evaporated in 30 minutes. On social media, #ImperiumCrimes and #Stonegate trended globally. Politicians scrambled to condemn behavior they'd participated in hours earlier. Law enforcement agencies in 23 countries announced immediate investigations. The yacht listed heavily now, flames engulfing its upper decks. Most of those aboard had escaped, though whether all survived remained unclear. Monaco's emergency services swarmed the harbor as nearby vessels assisted with rescue efforts. Through it all, the broadcast continued. Each new revelation tightened the noose around Stone and his accomplices. Offshore account numbers, shell company structures, blackmail videos, trafficking networks. The entire corrupt empire laid bare for the world. Stone reached the peninsula, abandoning his boat for the helicopter. His phone rang continuously. Lawyers, business partners, family members, all trying to reach him. He ignored them, focused solely on escape. "Sir," the pilot said, as Stone climbed aboard, "we've been grounded." "What?" "Air traffic control, emergency order." Stone's face contorted with rage. "Override it now." The pilot hesitated. "Sir, military jets have been scrambled. They're threatening to shoot down any craft violating the order." For the first time, real fear flickered across Stone's face. His gaze turned back toward his burning yacht, the symbol of his power now a funeral pyre for his empire. "Get me to the backup site," he ordered. "By road." As the helicopter pilot helped him into a waiting SUV, Stone's phone displayed a message that made his blood run cold. "I see you, Maxwell. The world sees you. There is nowhere left to hide." Attached was a live image of Stone himself, standing by the SUV, from the helicopter's own camera system. In his Zurich hotel room, Ethan allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. The man who'd destroyed his family was now experiencing his own world collapsing around him, but the victory felt hollow. Nothing would bring back his father or heal his mother's broken heart. His sister was still lost to addiction. David Chen was still dead. At least Mia was safe. One life salvaged from the wreckage Stone had created. It would have to be enough. Stone's SUV sped along the coastal road, weaving through traffic with reckless urgency. In the back seat, the billionaire's fingers flew across his secure satellite phone, activating emergency protocols he'd established for this unthinkable scenario. "Get me Chambers," he barked to his driver, referring to his chief legal counsel in London, but the call connected to Ethan instead. "Chambers can't help you," Ethan's digitized voice responded. "He's currently speaking with prosecutors about immunity." Stone's face drained of color. "Who are you?" "Someone you destroyed," Ethan replied. "One of thousands." Stone's mind raced through possibilities. Disgruntled employees, rival executives, government agents. He'd made countless enemies building his empire, crushed too many lives to count. "Whatever you want, I can double it," Stone offered, desperation creeping into his voice. "I already have what I want," Ethan said. Your complete destruction, broadcast to the world. On Stone's phone screen, live footage appeared, his yacht continuing to burn, intercut with evidence of his crimes still streaming globally. The viewer count had passed 80 million. Stone hurled the phone against the car window. Faster, he ordered his driver. The private airfield. My jet can still get us out. The driver nodded grimly, accelerating the armored SUV around a sharp coastal bend. In his hotel room, Ethan tracked the vehicle via satellite and traffic cameras. He'd anticipated Stone's escape route, identified his contingency plans through months of surveillance. The airfield was already under lockdown, though Stone didn't know it yet. Sophia status on Mia stabilizing, she reported. The doctor says she recovered. No permanent damage, but she need rehabilitation. They kept her drugged for months. Ethan's jaw tightened, and her memory intact. Unfortunately, she remembers everything they did to her, everything she saw. Another life shattered by Stone. Another reason this had to end tonight. Ethan turned his attention back to the broadcast. The initial shock was transitioning to analysis as media outlets worldwide scrambled to contextualize the flood of information. Financial experts detailed the sophisticated money laundering operation. Political analysts identified compromised officials. Human rights organizations documented the trafficking network. One could dismiss this as fake news or a personal vendetta. The evidence was too comprehensive, too internally consistent. Stone's own meticulous record-keeping had created the perfect case against him. Notifications pinged across Ethan's screens as arrest warrants were issued in multiple jurisdictions. Senator Hargrove was already in custody. The Saudi prince had barricaded himself in his embassy. CEO Jung was reportedly attempting to flee by private submarine. Stone's SUV approached the private airfield, only to find its entrance blocked by police vehicles. Find another way in, Stone shouted, panic rising in his voice. The driver veered onto a maintenance road that circled the airfield's perimeter. They bounced along the rough track until reaching a service gate. Stone's security codes still worked. The gate slid open on the tarmac. Stone's Gulfstream G650 waited, engines already warming. He allowed himself a moment of hope as the SUV sped toward it. Then the jet's engines shut down. In Zurich, Ethan smiled coldly as he released control of the aircraft's systems. Another contingency addressed. Months earlier, he'd infiltrated the maintenance company that serviced Stone's jet, inserting backdoor access to its avionics. Stone's SUV screeched to a halt beside the now useless aircraft. His security team scanned the darkened airfield, weapons drawn. Alternative extraction, Stone demanded into his satellite radio now. No response came. His remaining loyal assets were either in custody or in hiding. Decades of cultivated influence evaporated in under 2 hours. Ethan broadcast the airfield standoff live, adding it to the stream that continued to expose Stone's crimes. Comments flooded in from viewers worldwide. The collective outrage of millions watching justice unfold in real time. Stone made one last desperate move, calling the secure line of a high-ranking intelligence official he'd compromised years earlier. I need immediate extraction, Stone hissed. I have files that would destroy national security, leverage that would topple governments. The official's response was curt. Mr. Stone, this call is being recorded as evidence. I suggest you surrender to authorities immediately. Even his blackmail leverage had failed. The broadcast had rendered such threats meaningless. The damage was already done. Flashing lights appeared on the access road as police vehicles approached the airfield. Stone looked around frantically, the reality of his situation finally sinking in. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. In that moment of desperation, Stone's satellite phone rang. Against his better judgment, he answered. It's over, Maxwell, Ethan said, using his real voice for the first time. Recognition flickered across Stone's face. Cole, James, Cole's boy. You remember my father, Ethan said, genuine surprise in his voice. I remember everyone I destroyed, Stone replied with unexpected candor. Occupational necessity. Police vehicles surrounded the SUV, officers taking position with weapons drawn. They'll never make the charges stick, Stone said, a final attempt at bravado. My lawyers are watching the same broadcast as everyone else. Ethan cut him off. Your empire is gone, Maxwell. Your money is frozen. Your associates are scrambling to trade testimony for leniency. Through the phone, Ethan watched Stone's face as the truth hit him. Complete, irrevocable destruction. Enjoy prison, Ethan said, and ended the call. On the airfield, Stone squared his shoulders and stepped from the SUV. hands raised in surrender as police closed in. The king had fallen. The broadcast continued. In a modest apartment on the outskirts of Monaco, Mia Chen lay on a sofa, an IV drip in her arm slowly flushing the drugs from her system. Her doctor Sophia trusted an ex-military medic, who asked no questions, monitored her vital signs. She's stabilizing, he reported. Whatever cocktail they were using, it was designed for compliance without permanent damage. Valuable merchandise, I suppose. The disgust in his voice was palpable. Sophia sat beside Mia, holding her hand. But the young woman drifted in and out of consciousness, occasionally muttering in Mandarin. Her brother, Mia, whispered suddenly, her eyes fluttering open. David, ... He found something, ... Rest, Sophia said gently. You're safe now. Through a secure video link, Ethan watched the scene, relief and guilt washing over him in equal measure. He should have found her sooner. Should have connected the dots when David disappeared. Sophia, I need to speak with her when she's lucid. That could be hours, Ethan, and she need time to process trauma before questioning. We don't have. Ours Stone is in custody, but his organization is vast. There will be cleanup crews destroying evidence, eliminating witnesses. He paused, running his hand through his hair. David Chen found something important enough to get him killed. Something that might have led them to take Mia. Sophia nodded reluctantly. I'll try, but I'm stopping if it distresses her. While waiting, Ethan continued coordinating the global fallout. The broadcast had triggered investigations across continents. Financial markets reeled as Stone's publicly traded companies lost billions in value. Political figures named in the evidence scrambled to resign or deny involvement. His secure line rang the journalist contact he'd cultivated over the past year. It's the biggest story of the decade, she said without preamble. Possibly the century. My editors are throwing every resource at it. Focus on the victims, Ethan instructed. The trafficking operation extended beyond the yacht. There are facilities in 6 countries. We're on it, she assured him. But everyone wants to know, who are you? Why now? Ethan ended the call without answering. His identity needed to remain hidden, at least until he was certain all of Stone's assets were neutralized. On another screen, he monitored police chatter as Stone was processed at Monaco's central station. The billionaire had demanded his attorneys, only to learn they were unreachable or simultaneously deciding to review their professional obligations. Another small victory in Ethan's meticulous plan. Sophia's voice pulled him back to the video feed. She's coherent, but be gentle. The camera shifted to show Mia sitting up slightly, her eyes clearer but haunted. She looked much older than her 26 years. Mia, Ethan said softly. I'm Ethan Cole. I worked with your brother at Recognition flickered across her face. David's friend, a security expert. Yes, I'm so sorry about what happened to him, to you. Tears filled her eyes. They killed him because of what he found in Stone's files. Ethan leaned closer to his camera. What did he find? Mia, she closed her eyes. Summoning strength, a connection between Stone and government intelligence agencies. David said Stone was running a private data collection program spying on citizens, then selling the information to multiple governments. He called it Prometheus. The name triggered a memory. Ethan had seen it in encrypted files, but hadn't deciphered its significance. Stone found out David was investigating, Mia continued. They staged his drowning. I knew it wasn't an accident. David was an expert swimmer. I started my own investigation. Her voice broke. They grabbed me in Paris, been moving me between locations for I don't know how long. 6 months, Sophia supplied gently. Mia nodded slowly. They kept me alive because they didn't know how much David had told me. Stone would ... question me himself. The implications made Ethan's blood boil. Did you tell them anything? There was nothing to tell. David protected me, never shared specifics. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. I invented things sometimes, sent them chasing shadows, brave. Even in captivity, Ethan felt his admiration and guilt intensify. Prometheus, he repeated. Did David mention where the data was stored? Mia's brow furrowed in concentration. He said ... It was somewhere cold, a place with no extradition. Iceland, Ethan said immediately. Several of Stone's shell companies had property there, including a data center supposedly used for cryptocurrency mining. Yes, Mia confirmed. He was planning to fly there when they got him. It was the missing piece. Stone's human trafficking and financial crimes were devastating, but a private mass surveillance program selling data to intelligence agencies. That explained the extraordinary protection he'd enjoyed. The investigations that mysteriously collapsed, the witnesses who recanted. Thank you, Mia, Ethan said. You've helped finish what David started. Are you going after it? She asked. Prometheus, yes. Her eyes, though tired, sharpened with purpose. I want to help. Mia, Sophia interjected. You need recovery time. Therapy, what I need. Mia cut her off. Is justice for my brother, for myself. She looked directly into the camera. Stone took years of my life. I want them back. On my terms, Ethan recognized. The determination in her eyes, the same burning need for justice that had driven him. We'll talk when you're stronger, he promised. For now, trust Sophia. She'll keep you safe. As the call ended, Ethan turned to his remaining screens. The broadcast continued worldwide, but he needed to shift focus. If Prometheus existed, it represented an even greater threat and potentially explained why Stone had been so confident about escaping consequences. He began searching his archived data for any reference to Iceland, to data centers, to surveillance. Architecture somewhere in the mountain of evidence he'd collected was the key to the final piece of Stone's empire. And this time, he wouldn't be working alone. Dawn broke over Europe as the broadcast entered its 6th hour. The initial shock had evolved into sustained global outrage. News networks ran continuous coverage. Experts analyzed the evidence. And social media exploded with demands for accountability. In his hotel room, Ethan monitored it all while searching for information on Prometheus. He'd found references in Stone's communications, cryptic exchanges with government officials, payments to data scientists, shipments of specialized servers to Iceland. His phone buzzed with a message from his journalist. Contact, Stone transported to high-security facility. Extraordinary security measures. Someone's nervous. Indeed, the broadcast had exposed financial crimes and human trafficking, but hints of a mass surveillance program with government ties raised the stakes dramatically. Intelligence agencies worldwide would be scrambling to contain that revelation. Ethan's screens displayed multiple news feeds simultaneously. CNN, global markets in freefall as Stone's companies collapse. Trading halted on major exchanges. BBC, Prime Minister denies knowledge of Stone's activities despite evidence of meetings. Opposition calling for resignation. Al Jazeera, Saudi Prince Khalid recalled to Riyadh amid scandal. Royal family distances itself from connections. Fox News. Senator Hargrove arrested at private airfield attempting to flee country. Sources say he's offering testimony against associates. The cascade effect was exactly as Ethan had planned. Each exposed conspirator rushed to save themselves by implicating others, widening the circle of accountability. His secure line rang Sophia calling from Monaco. We need to move, she said without preamble. Intelligence agencies are sweeping the city. They're looking for the source of the broadcast, but also for Mia. They know she's connected to Prometheus, Ethan concluded. How soon can you transport her? 20 minutes. The doctor says she's stable enough for travel. Take her to the Alpine location. I'll meet you there in 18 hours. Ethan had maintained multiple safe houses throughout Europe paid for, with Stone's own money, siphoned through the same shell companies the billionaire had used to hide his crimes. As he began packing his equipment, a notification appeared on his primary screen. Someone was attempting to trace his location through his connection to the broadcast servers. Skilled, too. They'd already bypassed 3 layers of his security. Ethan smiled grimly. He'd anticipated this, had, in fact, planned for it. Let them chase digital breadcrumbs while he moved physically. With practiced efficiency, he transferred essential data to encrypted drives and initiated the wiping protocol on his remaining systems. The broadcast would continue through distributed servers, regardless of his direct involvement. His phone vibrated again, another message from his journalist. Contact. Intelligence sources claiming broadcast is foreign operation, attempting to discredit evidence. The predictable counterattack. Dismiss the evidence as manipulation. Question its authenticity. Attribute it to hostile foreign actors. Ethan had prepared for this too. He sent a single command to his broadcast system. Activating Authentication Protocol Alpha. Across all broadcast channels, documentation appeared verifying the evidence, cryptographic signatures, blockchain validation, metadata analysis, irrefutable proof of authenticity that even the most sophisticated intelligence agencies couldn't dispute. Satisfied, Ethan shouldered his bag and took one last look at the hotel room that had served as his command center. In 20 minutes, a scheduled power surge would fry any remaining electronics beyond recovery. As he stepped into the hall, his phone displayed breaking news. The first resignations had begun. The FBI director, 2 Supreme Court justices, the chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, all implicated in Stone's web of corruption. The cleanup crews would be working overtime on Washington. Emergency meetings convened in secure facilities. In Moscow, FSB analysts pored over the evidence for compromising information about their own operations. In Beijing, officials assessed damage to intelligence assets. Stone's network had tentacles everywhere. Ethan passed through the hotel lobby, anonymous in plain clothes, another business traveler in a city full of them. Outside, he hailed a taxi to the train station rather than the airport. Airlines would be the first place they'd looked at. As the taxi pulled away, he allowed himself a moment to breathe. Phase 1 was complete. Stone was finished, his criminal enterprise exposed. Many of his victims would see justice. Others, like Ethan's own family, would at least know the truth. But Prometheus remained. The system David Chen had died investigating. The reason Mia had suffered. The ultimate insurance policy that had made Stone believe he was untouchable. Ethan's phone displayed another notification, an encrypted message he'd been waiting for. Iceland facility confirmed active. Security increased past 24 hours. Shipments of equipment suggesting data purge in progress. They were trying to erase Prometheus before it could be exposed. He wouldn't let that happen. In the taxi's backseat, Ethan opened his laptop and accessed a secure satellite link to his remaining systems. If Prometheus operated as he suspected, collecting and analyzing global communications, then it might already be tracking him. Time to use that against them. He initiated a program that would create digital noise, false travel reservations, fake accommodation bookings, misleading financial transactions, let intelligence agencies chase shadows across continents while he moved undetected toward the true target. The broadcast had captured the world's attention. Now he needed to maintain that attention long enough to complete what David Chen had started. The taxi approached the train station as Ethan's phone displayed one final news alert. Stone Industries stock worthless. Global financial authorities freeze remaining assets. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 beginning. The hunt for Prometheus was on. The interrogation room in Monaco's high-security facility was sparse. 1 table, 2 chairs, and a two-way mirror. Maxwell Stone sat alone, his bespoke suit rumpled, his imperious demeanor intact despite his circumstances. The door opened. Rather than the expected detective, a technician entered with a laptop. "Mr. Stone, you have a communication request." Stone's eyebrows rose. "From whom?" The technician didn't answer, simply opening the laptop to reveal a video call in progress. The screen showed a shadowed figure, identity concealed. "Hello, Maxwell," said Ethan. Stone leaned forward. "The ghost himself. Brave of you to show your face." "We both know it's not my real face," Ethan replied, the digital mask he wore shifting slightly. "Just as we both know Prometheus is still running in Iceland." Stone's composure faltered momentarily. "I don't know what you're talking about. Your private surveillance system, collecting data on millions of citizens, selling it to intelligence agencies, blackmail targets, corporate competitors." Ethan paused. "The system David Chen discovered before you had him killed." "Prove it," Stone challenged, recovering his confidence. "I already am." Phase 2 of the broadcast begins in 1 hour. Complete technical specifications of Prometheus, its client list, the identities of participating intelligence officials. Real fear flashed across Stone's face. "You can't. You'll destabilize governments. Markets have already lost trillions. This would cause global chaos." Concerned about the greater good suddenly. "Maxwell, that's new." Stone leaned closer to the screen. "Listen to me. Prometheus isn't just mine. There are people who won't let this happen. They can't stop it," Ethan said. "The broadcast is automated, distributed across servers worldwide. Even if they find me, it continues." For the first time, Stone looked genuinely shaken. Not for himself, Ethan realized, but for what might happen to him when his partners learned he'd failed to contain the situation. "What do you want?" Stone asked, his voice low. "A full confession. Every crime, every conspirator, every victim. In exchange for what?" "I withhold the Prometheus files. The public learns about your financial crimes and trafficking operations, but not about intelligence agencies spying on their own citizens." Stone calculated visibly. "If I confess, I'll never leave prison." "You were never going to anyway," Ethan pointed out. "This way you might live longer." The implication hung in the air. Stone's partners would silence him permanently if Prometheus was exposed. The people behind Prometheus, Stone said carefully, they have reach you can't imagine. Inside prisons, inside witness protection, nowhere is safe. I'm counting on that, Ethan replied. They'll be so busy hunting for you and your confession that they'll miss what's really happening. Understanding dawned on Stone's face. You're using me as bait while you go after Prometheus directly. Ethan smiled behind his digital mask. 1 hour Maxwell. Confess to your crimes, name your accomplices, or the world learns about Prometheus in exquisite detail. Stone stared at the screen, trapped between impossible choices. His empire was already gone, his reputation destroyed, his fortune seized. Now his only currency was information leverage to keep himself alive a little longer. I'll need guarantees, he said finally. You'll get none, Ethan replied. 1 hour. The screen went black, leaving Stone alone in the interrogation room, the weight of his decisions pressing down on him like a physical force. In a private train compartment speeding toward Switzerland, Ethan closed his laptop. Stone would talk not out of conscience, but out of self-preservation. Meanwhile, the real operation against Prometheus could proceed without interference. The hunter had become the hunted. Stone's confession aired. Worldwide 48 minutes later, seated at the interrogation table, his voice steady despite the damning nature of his words, he detailed decades of financial crimes, human trafficking operations, and corruption. He named names, senators, judges, intelligence officials, corporate leaders, foreign dignitaries, all participants in his criminal enterprise, all compromised through greed or blackmail. Ethan watched the confession from his train compartment, verifying details against his own evidence. Stone was being selective, admitting to crimes already exposed while protecting certain high-level conspirators. No mention of Prometheus. With swift keystrokes, Ethan released a targeted data packet to his journalist contact, evidence specifically contradicting Stone's omissions. Let the billionaire know his half-truths wouldn't suffice. On screen, Stone received a message. His eyes widened slightly as he realized the game wasn't playing out as he'd hoped. There's more, Stone amended, visibly shaken. A surveillance operation codenamed Prometheus. There it was. As Stone detailed the program, a private data collection system selling information to multiple intelligence agencies, and monitored. The digital response. Specialized security teams worldwide scrambled to contain the revelation. Their activities leaving digital footprints Ethan could track. Most activities centered on Iceland. The Prometheus facility was real, and they were desperately trying to protect it. Ethan's phone buzzed with a message from Sophia. Arrived safely. M is recovering. It says there's a physical key. A physical key. Old school security for the most sensitive operations. Digital systems could be hacked, but physical keys needed to be physically stolen, he replied. Where? The response came quickly. Stone keeps it with him. Always. Ethan studied Stone on the screen, noting the slight bulge of a hidden pocket in his custom suit. Even in custody, Stone kept his insurance policy close. The train slowed as it approached the Swiss border. Ethan gathered his minimal belongings, preparing to transfer to a vehicle Sophia had arranged. His final destination, the Alpine safehouse, where Mia waited. Before disembarking, he sent one last command to his broadcast system. On screens worldwide, a timer appeared in the corner of Stone's confession. 12 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds, counting down 12 hours until complete exposure of Prometheus. The key was secured and the system properly dismantled. Let Stone's partners see it. Let them pressure him. Let them reveal themselves through their desperate attempts to contain the situation. In Monaco, Stone's interrogation was interrupted by urgent officials, intelligence directors, government representatives, individuals whose names never appeared in public record. The cameras continued recording as heated discussions ensued. Visible though not audible to the broadcast audience, the world watched as power struggled with truth in real time. Ethan stepped off the train onto a snowy platform in a small Swiss town. A nondescript SUV waited in the parking lot, keys hidden where Sophia had promised. As he drove toward the mountains, communication systems worldwide hummed with frantic activity. Intelligence agencies, corporate security teams, and criminal organizations all racing to locate both Stone's key and the man who had brought them to the brink of exposure. In his rearview mirror, Ethan noticed headlights following at a discreet distance. He smiled grimly. The game was entering its final phase. He activated the SUV's countermeasures, sophisticated technology he'd acquired using Stone's own money. The vehicle's electronic signature changed. becoming invisible to tracking systems. A decoy transponder, activated on a different road, leading pursuers away from his actual route. The countdown continued. Stone's partners grew more desperate. The broadcast audience swelled to unprecedented numbers. Phase 2 was working exactly as planned. The Alpine safe house perched on a mountainside, its exterior designed to blend with traditional chalets while its interior housed cutting-edge technology. Ethan arrived as darkness fell, the temperature dropping rapidly with the sun. Sophia met him at the door, her expression a mixture of relief and concern. "We have company on the way," she said without preamble. "Surveillance drones detected 20 minutes ago. Expected," Ethan replied, shrugging off his coat. "Stone's partners tracked the pattern of my movements. How's Mia? Stronger? More lucid? She's been helping piece together what we know about Prometheus." Mia sat at a workstation in the main room, her face pale but determined. Multiple screens displayed fragments of information about the Iceland facility's satellite imagery, power consumption records, network traffic analyses. Stone confessed. Ethan told her, mentioned Prometheus, though not in full detail. Mia's eyes hardened. Did he mention David, by name, admitted ordering his death to protect the program? She nodded once, the confirmation of what she'd already known, bringing no visible relief. "The physical key," she said. "All business. Its biometric requires Stone's fingerprint and retinal scan but also contains a physical component. Can we bypass it?" "Not remotely," she replied. "The Iceland facility is air-gapped from external networks. Physical access is required." Ethan processed this complication. His plan had assumed Prometheus could be accessed and exposed remotely. A physical infiltration of a heavily guarded facility in Iceland would be nearly impossible, especially with multiple intelligence agencies now hunting for them. "They're moving Stone," Sophia announced, monitoring security channels. "Private jet authorized for emergency transfer to a secure facility in the US. They need his key," Ethan realized. "They're taking him to Iceland first." The countdown timer on the broadcast showed 9 hours 34 minutes and 17 seconds remaining. Less than 10 hours until his system would release the Prometheus files to the world. Files that remained incomplete without access to the central database. Ethan made a swift decision. "We follow Stone. The partners are doing our work for us, bringing him and his key directly to the facility." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "With every intelligence agency in the Western Hemisphere looking for us, they're looking for individuals," Ethan corrected. "Not for a fully credentialed technical team from one of Prometheus's partner agencies." Understanding dawned on Mia's face. "We pose as an emergency response team." "Exactly. The confusion works in our favor. Multiple agencies scrambling. Jurisdictional disputes. Everyone's suspicious of everyone else." Sophia accessed a secure server, pulling up documents Ethan had collected during his investigation. "We have credentials for CIA, NSA, and Britain's GCHQ. Which identity works best?" "GCHQ," Ethan decided. "Less recognizable personnel, and we have the most complete documentation of their Prometheus protocols." As they prepared their disguises and credentials, surveillance drones circled closer to the safe house. The countdown on the broadcast ticked relentlessly forward. Stone, meanwhile, was escorted onto a private jet by men whose agencies weren't identified in any official record. The broadcast cameras had been forcibly disabled, but not before millions witnessed his removal from Monaco. A clear violation of legal procedure that sparked outrage across social media. Governments issued denials. Conspiracy theories multiplied. Markets continued their free fall as the extent of the corruption became impossible to contain. In the Alpine safehouse, Ethan, Sophia, and Mia finalized their plan. The surveillance drones would discover an empty building, its occupants having departed through a hidden tunnel system installed by the property's previous owner, a paranoid Swiss banker who'd worked with Stone. "If this works," Mia said as they prepared to leave, "what happens to Prometheus?" "Complete exposure," Ethan replied. "Every participating agency, every surveillance target, every illegal operation that affects legitimate intelligence work, too," Sophia pointed out. "National security implications." Ethan paused, the weight of the decision evident. Prometheus crossed the line from security to tyranny. The public deserves to know who's watching them and why. The choice was made. No going back. As they moved through the tunnel system toward their escape vehicle, Ethan's broadcast system continued its countdown, visible on screens worldwide. 8 hours, 41 minutes and 3 seconds. And falling. Stone's empire had already collapsed. Now the systems that had protected him would follow. Reykjavik's winter darkness engulfed the private airfield as Stone's jet touched down. A convoy of unmarked vehicles waited on the tarmac, their headlights cutting through swirling snow. Armed personnel established a perimeter, their movements betraying military precision despite civilian clothing. 5 kilometers away, Ethan, Sophia, and Mia observed through hijacked security cameras. Their chartered helicopter waited nearby, its pilot believing them to be British intelligence responding to an international crisis which wasn't entirely untrue. Convoy moving east, Sophia noted, toward the facility. Ethan studied the vehicles, 8-car formation. Stone's likely in the center SUV. Response teams from at least 3 agencies visible. How do we intercept? Mia asked, adjusting her GCHQ technical specialist uniform. We don't, Ethan replied. We follow. Let them take Stone and his key inside. We enter as the secondary technical team. The countdown on screens worldwide showed 5 hours 17 minutes and 42 seconds remaining. Governments had moved beyond denials to active countermeasures. Major networks experienced technical difficulties when covering the story. Social media platforms found their Stone-related hashtags mysteriously ranked, yet the broadcast continued through alternative channels. Impossible to fully suppress that. Helicopter lifted off, following the convoy at a discreet distance. The Prometheus facility came into view, a massive structure disguised as a data center for cryptocurrency operations. Its true purpose, housing the most extensive private surveillance system ever created. Stone was escorted inside by senior intelligence officials, their expressions grim. They had hours to prevent exposure of operations that violated the laws of virtually every democratic nation. Ethan's team landed at the facility's secondary helipad 20 minutes later. Their fake credentials identified them as GCHQ technical specialists sent to assist with system containment. In the confusion of multiple agencies operating without clear jurisdiction, no one questioned their presence too carefully. Inside, the facility hummed with activity technicians frantically working to isolate sensitive data, security personnel establishing defensive positions, officials arguing over command authority. Central server room is 2 levels down, Mia murmured, consulting the facility schematic they'd reconstructed from David's notes. Stone will be there with the key. They moved purposefully through the corridors, their borrowed authority clearing a path. The countdown read for hours, 36 minutes and 19 seconds. Stone stood in the server room's central platform, surrounded by officials from 3 countries. His expression was resigned as technicians prepared the biometric scanner for his key. Sir, a security officer approached the group. We have GCHQ technical team reporting to assist. One official turned, irritation clear on his face. We have enough cooks in this kitchen. Ethan stepped forward. Director Hayes sent us specifically for the quantum encryption protocols. We have the override codes. The name drop worked. Hayes was GCHQ's director. His involvement in Prometheus, a closely held secret. The official nodded reluctantly, from a nearby workstation. Sophia initiated their infiltration software, a specialized virus that would activate once Stone's key access to the system. Proceed with authentication, ordered a gray-haired American, whom Ethan recognized as CIA Deputy Director Wilson. Stone placed his hand on the scanner, then leaned forward for the retinal scan. A moment later, he inserted the physical key from his hidden pocket. The massive server array hummed to life, displays showing the Prometheus interface, a global monitoring system with unimaginable reach. Begin data purge, Wilson commanded. Priority targets first. Stone turned to him with a bitter smile. You still don't get it, do you? It's too late. On screens throughout the facility, the countdown continued inexorably. 3 hours 59 minutes and 54 seconds. Ethan's infiltration had begun. Sophia's infiltration software spread through Prometheus like digital wildfire. Designed to appear as a system diagnostic, it systematically copied the database while preventing deletions. On her tablet, hidden from view, she watched the progress bar advance steadily. Systems responding normally, she reported officially, maintaining their cover, beginning isolation protocols. Around them, technicians from multiple agencies worked frantically, unaware that their efforts to contain the damage were being systematically undermined. Stone watched from a chair where security had confined him, his eyes occasionally meeting Ethan's with an unreadable expression. Did he recognize the man who had destroyed his empire? Impossible to tell. 60% of priority targets isolated, announced the lead NSA technician. We might actually contain this. Ethan suppressed a smile. The containment was merely copying the data to his secure servers. When the countdown reached 0, Prometheus would be exposed regardless of their efforts here, but the physical access had provided an unexpected opportunity. Beyond mere exposure, they could now dismantle the system entirely. The countdown reached hours 30 minutes and 15 seconds. Mia positioned herself near the quantum encryption module, the heart of Prometheus's security. As a GCHQ specialist, her presence there raised no alarms, authentication protocols showing anomalies, she announced, creating a diversion. Possible corruption in the biometric verification system. The senior technicians congregated around her station, allowing Ethan momentary access to the main control interface. He inserted a specialized drive containing the final component of their plan, a cascading deletion algorithm designed to devastate the system beyond recovery. Unlike the broadcast, which merely exposed Prometheus, this would destroy it. CIA Deputy Director Wilson paced nervously, periodically conferring with his counterparts from other agencies. Their careers, possibly their freedom, depended on containing this breach. Sir, a junior analyst approached Wilson. We're detecting unauthorized data transfers. The atmosphere in the server room shifted instantly. Security personnel tensed, hands moving toward concealed weapons. Lock down all communications, Wilson ordered. No one enters or leaves. Too late. Sophia's tablet showed the data transfer at 87% complete. Their infiltration had been discovered, but not soon enough to stop it. Ethan caught her eye, then Mia. Their contingency plan activated with the slightest of nods. Simultaneously, they triggered the emergency fire suppression system. Darkness engulfed the server room as backup generators kicked in, providing only minimal lighting. In the confusion, they moved toward their predetermined exit route. Stone, surprisingly, made no attempt to alert security. Instead, he watched them with something resembling respect as they slipped away. The facility lockdown slowed their escape, forcing them through maintenance corridors and air circulation systems. Behind them, alarms blared as security realized both the infiltration team and Stone himself had vanished in the chaos. They emerged from an emergency exit into the bitter Icelandic night, the helicopter pilot waiting as instructed, their GCHQ credentials still holding value. He asked no questions as they boarded. As the helicopter lifted off, Sophia confirmed the final data transfer, 100% complete, and the deletion algorithm is running. On her tablet, the countdown timer showed 1 hour 47 minutes and 8 seconds. Will it be enough? Mia asked, her voice barely audible over the rotors. The broadcast will expose Prometheus, Ethan replied. The algorithm will destroy it, and the data we've collected ensures no one can rebuild it without facing consequences. Below them, the facility blazed with activity, security teams deploying in search patterns that would find nothing. Stone, they would later learn, had disappeared during the confusion. Some speculated he had help from intelligence officials fearing his testimony. Others believed he had been eliminated by the same powerful interests he had served. The truth remained elusive, but as their helicopter banked toward a secondary landing site where new identities and transportation awaited, the first phase of the countdown reached 0. Across the world, the truth about Prometheus began to emerge, one revelation at a time. The fall was complete. 6 months later, Ethan sat on the balcony of a modest apartment in Bangkok, the city's heat a stark contrast to Iceland's bitter cold. Below, street vendors called out to passing tourists, life continuing its rhythmic flow, untouched by the global upheaval he had triggered. On his tablet, news headlines chronicled the ongoing aftershocks. Former CIA Deputy Director Wilson sentenced to 15 years. Prometheus hearings enter third month as new whistleblowers come forward. Woon establishes special commission on digital privacy rights. Stone remains missing. Despite global manhunt, the broadcast had changed everything. Governments fell. Intelligence agencies underwent unprecedented oversight reforms. Corporate executives faced trials for their complicity. The financial system itself had been forced to adapt to new transparency requirements. Stone's victims received some measure of justice. Trafficking networks were dismantled. Stolen funds returned. Criminal enterprises exposed. That it wasn't perfect justice. No human system could deliver that. But it was something. His secure phone chimed with an encrypted message. D would be proud. Thank you for everything. Amaya had returned to the United States under a new identity, protected by the same journalist who had helped disseminate the Prometheus files. She'd testified anonymously before congressional committees, her evidence helping to ensure the surveillance system could never be rebuilt. Sophia had disappeared to her own sanctuary. Their agreement always cleared that once the mission concluded, all connections would be severed for mutual safety. Ethan was truly alone now. A ghost drifting through foreign cities, his identity erased, his mission complete. Or was it? His other phone, the untraceable one, vibrated with a message from an unknown sender, new system being built, similar architecture, different backers, evidence attached. The message included encrypted files showing familiar patterns, shell companies, unusual data center constructions, specialized hardware purchases. Someone was attempting to rebuild Prometheus under a new name. Ethan stared at the message for a long time, conflict churning within him. He had accomplished his goal, avenged his father, exposed the truth. He could disappear permanently, live some semblance of a normal life, but others would suffer if this new system succeeded. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. The decision before him wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about responsibility. Having seen behind the curtain of power, could he really walk away knowing what would happen if no one stood against it? Another message appeared. Need your help, people at risk. Please respond. Ethan closed his eyes, his father's face appearing in his memory. Not the broken man who had taken his own life, but the principled person who had taught him that standing against injustice was never optional. He began typing, send full details, secure channel only. The digital ghosts would remain in the shadows a while longer. The world still needed him. On another screen, a news alert appeared. Stone's yacht, salvaged from Monaco's harbor, was being auctioned to compensate victims of his crimes, the final physical remnant of his empire, soon to pass into history. Ethan allowed himself a moment of completion before turning to the new threat before him. The cycle would continue, power corrupting, technology enabling, ordinary people suffering, but now there was a counterbalance, someone watching the watchers, a ghost in the machine. As night fell over Bangkok, Ethan Cole began again, his fingers moving across the keyboard with familiar purpose. The battle for truth continued, one keystroke at a time. For every surveillance system, there would be someone to expose it. For every corruption, someone to bring it to light. For every Maxwell Stone, there would be an Ethan Cole. The ghost had work to do.